If you only learn one thing from watching this video, I want it to be this.
The language age cutoff is BS.
Hi, my name is Amalia. I was raised in a monolingual home. I attended monolingual schools and monolingual educations, and I speak 8 languages at a B1 level or higher. And all but 2 of these languages I learned either at or after the so-called hard cutoff for adult language learning. That includes a language that I'm fluent enough in that I work as an interpreter, and I've even done simultaneous interpretation for, after the cutoff. For the vast majority of adult language learners, there is only one thing that stands between you and being able to learn a language really well. And in fact, that one thing can be summarized in one word:
Shame.
Shame or embarrassment is the biggest stumbling block between the vast majority of adult language learners and learning a new language. It's not a so-called cutoff. It's not an ability to learn grammar. It's not the ability to pick up new phonemes, although that can be really tricky. It's shame and embarrassment. So let's talk about it. When you're a little kid, first of all, you make language mistakes all the time. Nobody gets angry at a 3-year-old who says, "Today I eated a hamburger and I swam in the pool and it was the bestest day ever," even though that sentence contained a ton of mistakes. That's because kids aren't worried about making those mistakes. And they'll also try using a new word that they've heard, but they're not quite sure if they're using it right because, okay, they're going to give it a try. And sometimes they're going to be wrong, and sometimes it's going to be kind of funny or a little bit embarrassing. But little kids don't mind. In fact, this is how every single one of us picked up our first language. Oh, and the fact that every single living language in the world is someone's native language is proof that no language is impossible to learn. But as we get older, 2 things happen. One happens in the setting of formal language learning, and one happens in the general world. In the general world at large, we start being punished for making mistakes. We become embarrassed and ashamed for making mistakes. And as a result, we turn into ourselves and we are afraid to try new things. This can be everything from being terrified to try learning how to play guitar, or trying to use chopsticks in a restaurant for the first time, or dancing on the dance floor, to learning a language. We are scared of being embarrassed. To make matters worse, many of us have been punished by adult figures in our life when we made mistakes that were deemed to embarrass those adults. And so we learned not just to be embarrassed, but to be scared of punishment. Now, if you think about how scary it is to, say, try and play guitar at your first open mic, imagine how much more scary it is for so many people when it's learning how to speak a language. But matters are made significantly worse by the way languages are formally taught in academic institutions. From our very first day of Spanish 101 or whatever it may be, we are expected to learn the rules and the irregulars and the exceptions, and then when we get them wrong on a quiz or a test, we suddenly find that handed back to us with a C, a D, an F, that oftentimes we had to, with terror in our hearts, show to our parents, which resulted in us losing privileges, getting grounded, being told you were never going to make it in life. And this is the opposite of how we naturally learn languages as human beings. Think about it. When that little kid, that baby, first says dada or mama, we go nuts. We encourage them. We try to get them to say it again. And when they make mistakes, we giggle because it's so cute and they're trying to learn new words. And isn't it the sweetest thing? And heck, sometimes we even adopt those mistakes into our family language. Like when my brother was a toddler and instead of saying supermarket, he said stupid market. It's been almost 40 years and we still call it the stupid market. But that's not what happens in the classroom. Instead of being rewarded for trying new things, learning through the natural way of language learning, trying something new, and yes, making a mistake and then learning from that, instead we are punished for trying those mistakes. We are encouraged to do things by rote, which has been proven again and again not to work. We are told that when we try something new, we should not do that. We are shamed when we make mistakes, and we are punished. The result is people who studied a language for 5 years and are still afraid to speak it in public. So what does this mean if you want to be a successful speaker? First of all, recognize that academia does not represent natural language. Yes, I understand you may need to pass your language classes. I get that, and unfortunately, there's nothing I can do as a single person to change the whole way that language classes work. But you can at least remember that what really matters at the end of the day is your ability to communicate with people in this language. And if you can do that, you should be extraordinarily proud of yourself. And every time you have a successful communication, even if it's just one tiny conversation that lasted 30 seconds and you were shaking the whole time, reward yourself because you just did something amazing. When you start to feel ashamed or embarrassed of your language skills, ask yourself, how many years have I been learning this language? If I were a native speaker of that age, where would I be? I mean, year 3 Spanish, we expect you to be fluent. Come on. Find me a 3-year-old who's not making mistakes on irregular verbs. And finally, embrace your mistakes. You are going to make them. Heck, I am a native English speaker and I still say fantastically embarrassing things in English by mistake all the time. And that thing that you say that's going to turn your face bright red and make you want to dig a hole and crawl into it right now is going to be the favorite story with you and your target language friends a few years from now when you're sitting around in a restaurant or a bar and you go, oh my gosh, do you remember that time? And you are going to laugh, and it is going to be something that helps you bond. Mistakes make us human, and we should embrace them, especially in the language world, because that is the only way that humans have ever learned languages at any age. If you felt this video was helpful, interesting, or inspiring, please give it a like and a follow for more language education and sometimes just very weird content. Thank you.